While we often believe family is a safe haven of unconditional love, sometimes our closest relationships can be the source of our deepest pain. This raises the question of whether there could be a divine purpose in such suffering. God operates in ways beyond our understanding, and when a family member causes anguish, it might not be to destroy you, but to protect and elevate you. The story of Joseph, who was betrayed by his brothers, illustrates this point. What seemed like abandonment was actually God's divine redirection to position him for a greater plan. Similarly, the pain and lack of support you may be experiencing could be God's way of redirecting your path and shielding you from unseen harm. Sometimes, God removes people from your life not as a punishment, but to fulfill His promise and prepare you for something greater. This script will explore 6 distinct signs that God is protecting you from a family member who is bringing you down, encouraging you to have faith that His plan is always for your benefit. We often hold the belief that our family is the ultimate safe haven, a place of unconditional love. However, it is sometimes these intimate connections that cause our most profound injuries. Within this contradiction, a question emerges: could God have a divine plan even within this suffering? God operates in ways that are beyond our comprehension. He sees not just our current situation, but also foresees outcomes we cannot yet imagine. When a relative becomes a source of anguish, criticism, and discouragement, it can feel like your entire world is collapsing. But, dear friend, consider if God is not permitting this to break you, but is instead using it for your protection and elevation. What if His hand is protecting you from a danger you are not yet aware of? Think about the life of Joseph. His own brothers betrayed him. He was sold into slavery and taken to a foreign land. If we observe only the surface, Joseph's narrative appears to be just a sequence of injustices and hopelessness. Yet, behind what was visible, God was orchestrating a design far more significant than anything Joseph or others could have conceived. Each trial and setback was not a sign of rejection, but a form of divine redirection. What looked like abandonment was, in fact, God's method of placing Joseph precisely where He intended him to be. So, what does this mean for you? The stress you are experiencing, the negative remarks directed at you, and the absence of support from someone you formerly trusted may not be random injustices. Instead, they could be God's way of redirecting your path. It's possible He is constructing a protective barrier around you, shielding you from something you are unable to see at this time. It is simple to become overwhelmed by pain, but the true challenge lies in trusting God's overarching plan. While you perceive only disconnected fragments, He sees the complete picture. Life is not consistently easy, but every challenging period serves a purpose. At times, God will remove a person from your life, not as a punishment, but to help fulfill His promise for you. A relationship that causes you to persistently question your own value or restrains you is not from God. He created you for a unique purpose, a calling that you alone can fulfill. If an individual is diverting you from that path, why would He let you stay caught in their influence? The heartbreak you feel might be His call for you to awaken and view your circumstances from a heavenly perspective. Perhaps He is whispering to your heart this very moment, "Trust me, I am taking away what you don't need to create space for what I have in store for you." We frequently ask why God is allowing this pain, but a more insightful question might be, what is He teaching me through this? Sometimes, God is not just safeguarding you, but also refining you, getting you ready for something greater than you ever anticipated. The tears you cry are not without meaning. They are threads in His divine tapestry, with each detail purposefully woven. Now, we will look at 6 distinct signs that God is shielding you from a family member who is bringing you down. These are not mere coincidences, but are deliberate arrangements from a loving and protective God. Be attentive to these indicators and have faith that His plan is always for your benefit. Sign 1. When you create distance, you experience peace, freedom, and a sense of purpose. These are 3 precious things God wants for His children. When you step away from someone and feel a sense of relief, it is more than a fleeting emotion. It is a divine signal that God is protecting you. The peace He provides is unlike the temporary peace the world can offer. It is profound, enduring, and surpasses all understanding. If you find that being away from a specific relative makes your mind clearer, your sleep more peaceful, and your heart lighter, it is not by chance. This is the protection of God, a present from the one who loves you without condition. Just as a father wants to protect his child from danger, God is pulling you from the turmoil that person might be causing. Consider how God guided the Israelites from Egypt. As detailed in Exodus 14, they were living under oppression as Pharaoh's slaves, enduring daily exploitation. This was not the life God had planned for them. When He led them out of Egypt, they were initially scared because they were accustomed to their past, despite its pain. They even complained to Moses, wanting to go back simply because the future was unknown. But as they passed through the Red Sea into the wilderness, a miracle occurred. They were no longer oppressed or afraid, and they started to experience freedom and peace for the first time. Like the Israelites, you may be in a relationship you have grown used to, even if it is hurtful. You might find it hard to leave because the familiarity of the situation makes the unknown seem frightening. But God does not call you to live in oppression. He calls you to the peace He has set aside for you. When God takes you out of a toxic environment, He is actively fighting to protect you. Exodus 14:14 states, "The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." In some relationships, peace cannot be achieved no matter how much you try. Being too close to a toxic dynamic can distort your perception and cloud your judgment. Creating distance doesn't always require a permanent break, but it often provides a needed pause to see clearly how that relationship truly impacts you. Imagine being in a thick forest. Up close, you can't see a way out. But when you step back, you can see light filtering through the trees and a path becomes visible. Distance provides clarity, helping you determine if a relationship aligns with God's plan for you. Psalm 30:14 advises, "Turn from evil and do good, seek peace and pursue it." Sometimes, pursuing peace involves letting go of what disturbs it, even a close relative. This is an act of obedience, not selfishness. Because residing in God's peace means you are at the center of His will. God knows this decision is difficult. He understands your pain and the turmoil in your mind and heart. But He promises in Deuteronomy 31:6, "I will never leave you nor forsake you." He doesn't just remove you from harmful relationships. He fills that emptiness with His love and protection. You should not feel guilty for stepping back to safeguard the peace God has granted you. He has called you to a life of abundance in Him, not one of turmoil. Trust that He is working for your good, even when the full plan is not yet visible. Take moments of peace to pray and ask God for wisdom about the relationship. As His peace settles over you, know that He has not forsaken you. He is protecting you, even if it means guiding you away from what was once familiar. Sign 2. God opens your eyes to see their true intentions. One of the most apparent ways God shields you from a toxic relative is by helping you recognize their real motives. This can be jarring and painful, especially if you believe the relationship was founded on love and trust. But when God intervenes, He won't let you stay blind to the manipulation, jealousy, or harmful patterns you've been enduring. You might have previously justified their behavior, thinking they meant no harm or that it was their unique way of showing love. But when God illuminates the truth, you start to see what you had refused to see before. The controlling language, dismissive attitudes, and instances where they belittled you to feel better about themselves were real. God is waking you from a false reality because He doesn't want you stuck in a relationship that harms your spirit. Luke 8:17 says, "For there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be known or brought out into the open." When God shows you someone's true nature, it is His way of pulling you from the shadows of pain so you can see them clearly and make sound decisions. This revelation can be deeply painful when the person hurting you is someone you deeply love. But God reveals the truth to liberate you, not to wound you. He wants you free from deception and unfair treatment. You may wonder what to do next. Clarity doesn't always necessitate an immediate cutoff, but it is a call to establish boundaries to protect your heart. God doesn't want you to hold resentment, but He also doesn't want you to remain in a damaging situation. He desires for you to act with wisdom, which sometimes means maintaining your distance. You might feel anger or confusion, But remember that even when people fail you, God is always faithful. He sees your suffering and is guiding you to a better place where genuine love exists. Free from manipulation. Trust that when God reveals the truth, He also provides the strength to handle it. Do not be afraid of clarity. It is the path to freedom. Sign 3. You go through a period of isolation, but find a deeper purpose. When God seeks to protect you from a toxic family member, He might not expose them immediately. Instead, He may gently guide you out of their sphere of influence. Calls might go unanswered, and doors that were once open may quietly shut. This can be confusing, as humans naturally seek connection. However, sometimes a connection can become a restraint. Clinging to someone who isn't part of God's plan can lead to being suffocated by their expectations and trapped in patterns God never wanted for you. Recall Joseph's story. He was betrayed by his own brothers, the people he trusted most. What Joseph didn't realize then was that God was separating him for a greater purpose. If he had stayed with his family, he would not have become the governor of Egypt who saved millions. His isolation was not abandonment, it was divine placement. As Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still, and know that I am God." God sometimes requires you to step away from the noise of certain relationships to hear His voice more clearly. Imagine being in a chaotic city where you cannot hear a single melody over the noise. Only by finding a quiet spot can you hear it. Similarly, God sometimes removes you from loud relationships so you can find your true calling. The initial loneliness after a negative influence is removed can be difficult, but as you spend more time with God in stillness, you begin to see the larger picture. You realize that you have long held dreams you never pursued because you were held back by the voices around you. Then, a shift occurs. You wake up one day no longer grieving the loss, but feeling clarity, strength, and a desire to follow God's calling. Your season of isolation is a time of preparation. When it concludes, you will see that God was not just protecting you, but positioning you exactly where you needed to be. If you are in a season where people are distancing themselves, do not lose heart. Be still, pray, and trust that He is leading you somewhere you cannot yet see. Sign 4. Their negative words no longer have power over you. Words can either be a destructive fire or a healing bomb. In the past, a relative's criticism might have damaged your self-worth. But one day, you notice their words don't hurt anymore, not because they stopped saying them, but because God has constructed a shield around your heart and mind. He doesn't always stop people from speaking against you, but He can stop their words from affecting you. Ephesians 6:16 says to take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. When you are firm in your faith, negative comments lose their impact. Often, people who use harsh words are looking for a reaction. When God elevates you, you no longer respond as you once did. You are unmoved because your value is defined by your Creator, not by human opinions. As God works within you, He liberates you from the control of others' views. Like an eagle flying high above, you are unconcerned with the crows below. Words that once wounded you now pass by harmlessly. You cease looking for validation from people because God has already affirmed you. Instead of dwelling on their criticism, you meditate on God's promises. You no longer think, "They say I'm not enough," but instead declare, as in Isaiah 43:1, "I have called you by name, you are mine." When God's word is your foundation, negative remarks lose their hold. Eventually, you may even feel compassion for them, realizing they are likely broken people themselves. Forgiveness doesn't mean you must allow them to continue hurting you, but it frees your heart from their control. If you've noticed that their words no longer affect you, understand it is a clear sign that God is guarding your heart and leading you into a freedom only He can provide. Sign 5. You are surrounded by new, uplifting relationships. There are times in life when one door closes and another one opens. When God removes a toxic family relationship, you might feel lost or abandoned. But if you look closely, you will see that He does not leave you by yourself. A clear sign of His protection is the way He brings new, positive relationships into your life. These are people who show up at the perfect time with the right words to help you heal. Think of a tree in winter. Its bare branches seem lifeless after the old leaves have fallen. But this is a necessary process for new buds to grow in the spring. God lets certain people exit your life not to leave a void, but to make room for those He intends for you. These new connections are divine arrangements to show you that you are not alone. Ecclesiastes 4:9 says, "Two are better than one. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up." Being surrounded by negativity is draining. But when God rescues you, He brings you into the light. The new people in your life are agents of healing. Their presence is a reminder of God's care. They encourage you and love you in a way that reflects God's heart. It is important to nurture these new friendships. If God has placed these people in your life, treasure them and invest in these connections, as they are part of His plan. As it says in 1 Thessalonians 5:11, "Therefore encourage one another and build each other up." Also, be careful not to hold onto bitterness. Forgiveness means surrendering the burden to God, which will make your heart lighter and ready for the good things He has planned. These new relationships are a mark of His grace and part of His plan to guide you into a season of peace and growth. Sign 6. Unexpected opportunities appear after they are gone. You may have pursued certain goals for years only to be met with constant obstacles. It might have felt like an unseen barrier was blocking your progress. Then, after a toxic relationship ends, doors that were long closed suddenly swing open. This is not because you worked harder, but because the barrier was removed. Sometimes, God holds back a blessing until certain people are no longer in your life. That person may have been holding you back through their doubt, criticism, or negativity, preventing you from reaching your full potential. Consider the story of Abraham and Lot in Genesis 13. When they traveled together, their herds became too large, causing conflict. Abraham knew separation was necessary. After Lot chose the plains of Sodom and departed, God spoke to Abraham and reaffirmed His great promise to him. God waited until Lot was gone to fully reveal Abraham's future. This shows that some breakthroughs are waiting for you, but they can only arrive once people who are not part of your journey are gone. Perhaps you have felt stuck for years. Then, after a person who constantly discouraged you left your life, things began to shift. New opportunities and invitations appeared, and the path forward became clear. God knew that person could derail His plan for you, so He proactively removed them. Isaiah 43:19 says, "See, I'm doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." When God closes one door, it's not a loss, but a divine realignment. If you look back and see that your life became more peaceful and prosperous after someone left, know that it was God protecting you. He was waiting to bless you, but first had to remove what was not meant for you. Instead of mourning the loss, trust His guidance and walk in faith, knowing the best is ahead. Dear friend, your path may be difficult, and the pain of separating from a loved one can be heavy. But find comfort in knowing that any separation God permits is not a punishment, but a preparation. Every closed door is a new beginning. Even if you don't understand the reasons, trust that He is working for your ultimate good. Just as He protected Joseph and guided Abraham, He is doing the same for you. The truth is that not everyone is meant to go where God is leading you. When He removes someone from your life, it is an act of protection. If you feel lost or lonely, remember you are precisely where God wants you to be. He is opening doors to peace, opportunity, and a meaningful future. Please subscribe for more videos like this. Turn on notifications and leave a like to support the channel. Thank you for watching.